I'm gonna turn off the timer noise right now. Hold on. Okay. It will never ever ring again. It'll never have to scare you again. Hi. Good morning. Hi. Good morning. Hi. Good morning. How are you? I had a bigger breakfast today. I didn't really eat a lot yesterday, so today I had a bigger breakfast. But Pie. I always say Pie. Pie asked me about my favorite breakfast this morning, which threw me for a loop because I never considered what my favorite breakfast was. But I think I really like making. I like when I have breakfast and I put together a platter of like fruits and cheese and little snacks. You weren't searching through all your windows trying to figure out what that made that sound? Oh, it was my timer, sorry! Unless you mean the, music for gnomes by gnomes. Do not listen unless you have gnome ears soundtrack. We're writing some Pathfinder stuff. I thought that I was gonna have a game today, but, boss battle music! Apparently I'm not having a game today. This playlist is really good! Hold on, where is it? It's a gnome playlist for gnome ears only. It's really good. Hi, Xmas! The Vulcan breakfast, maybe. Maybe. You had schedule issues with the game I'm in lately too. I have not been able to. It is really hot today. Oh my god. Sorry, I just became aware of my body suddenly. I just suddenly became aware of my body. And my body's function to be able to sweat. What were we talking about? Oh, I have like 2 players that keep just not being able to show up. And I wanted to run it without one of them today, but everyone was like, no. No, we need them. I have water, but it's grossly room temperature. I could do with colder water. You have a Call of Cthulhu game tonight. I've never... A 95-mile drive! This is why we need a public transit system. A high-speed rail public transit system. But no! The government has to keep their little lab experiments with the lizard people under the ground so no one can have subterranean tunnels. Yeah, I have a player that keeps not showing up. And I was like, let's run it without them. I don't mind. But the other players didn't want to do that. So, I don't know if we're ever gonna run my game. Which drives me insane! It's not that bad. You get to spend time with your daughter on the way there and back. Aww. I wish my dad took me on road trips to play Dungeons and Dragons. What the heck? Lizard people are the actual ones in charge. If you doubt me, just head to the Antarctic and take a look. I'm not falling for that. They kidnapped that poor Antarctic boy. The poor boy that flew to the Antarctic. They kidnapped him and replaced him with a lizard. I'm not falling for that. Yeah, no, I'm not falling for that. The endangered mole man. It's the lizard people. I have a Java chip wrap. So anyways, I thought we would do some like long-term planning for my campaign, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I gave them a MacGuffin and I kind of know what it does, but I don't actually know what it does. I have a vague sense of what it should be able to do, but not an incredibly particular sense of what it should do. I have to at least sound like I know what it does. I made this. Oh, did I not save a picture of it? I made this last night because I kind of expected have to prep the next session, in which I expect there might be a wagon chase. So I had prepped this. Because I wasn't very satisfied with the armored carriage that the Pathfinder rules had. Because for some godforsaken reason, they decided to make it a clockwork wagon. So I had to mess with some of the stats. But I don't think I need to prep this encounter today, because it's not happening today. And if it's not happening today, why worry about it today? Right? Right? Well, we're probably... Instead of my game, we're probably gonna play the Cyberpunk game, which I have a recap that I can read for you if you want. Do the work now, future Kumo will thank you. I don't care what future Kumo thinks. I've never cared what future Kumo thinks. And that makes life really hard for me, so maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Any plans or themes you planning on the stream? You turn the card's Commander Sphere and Arcane Signal into items for your players. Whoa! Commander Sphere, how did you... What does it do? You run a game for one player? That's crazy. Who cares about the future? I don't know, environmentalists? That kind of person? I don't know. Hello? Hello? Hi. This is such a good playlist. Yeah, so, I can read the recap of what happened last Cyberpunk. But also I want to do my own, game prep. So, do you want me to read the recap of what happened in the Cyberpunk game? It might not make too much sense. It might not make that much sense. Okay, let me download it. I gotta download it really quick so that I can read it from a safe window. Nothing weird pops up, like my search history or anything. Here it is. Are you having a nice week? It is, more than halfway done. You're almost through the entire week. Download as a PDF. Okay, and then open with what should I open this with? I want to open it in like an incognito window. Please hold. I have to figure out how to open this. I can open it in GIMP. I don't want to open it in GIMP. Oh no. It's trying to open in GIMP. Why would you name a program GIMP? No, close. Close. I do like their little mascot. I think their mascot's cute. Let's try it. You know what? I'll open it as a Word document, and then I will open it in LibreOffice because I have nothing connected to LibreOffice. That's what I'll do. Do we trust LibreOffice for this stream today? Do we trust it not to crash? Wait, where did you guys go? There you go. Save often? Okay, I will. Okay. I think I can pull it up here. You guys can't hear like a bunch of like clashing noises in the background of my... Did you hear that? Please tell me if you heard that. I'll tell my roommate to stop making noise. Here we go. Copy. Just that little one? Okay, I'm gonna go tell them to shut up. Hold on. I don't have to sit in the hot room for 5 minutes. Wait, you heard squabbling? Wait, really? Oh my gosh, okay. You scared me! Don't do that! Captain Lunsfleurs. You little trickster. It wasn't funny! Okay. Hi. I'm gonna turn off the gnome music. Is that okay with everyone? Purple spider chibi. Not a chibi. Goodbye, gnome playlist. How much more of the gnome playlist is there? We're only halfway through the gnome playlist. I'm pretty... Okay, now I'm chibi. I'm pretty impressed that this playlist is so long and so, like... It stayed in theme. It has all been gnome music. I will not lie. It has been gnome music. Now I'm chibi. Okay, hold on. I will put on some of the music that we play for the Cyberpunk game. Okay. Very loud. Can you hear that well? Okay, I think it's kind of quiet now. There. Hi! Hi! I'm happy to be here with you. Okay. So, hello. This is our data terminal. I'm gonna move us over here. It has all of my notes on the campaign, but I'm just a player, so I don't know that much. I don't know as much as the game master. But I've been putting in all sorts of information. So this is all of the sessions that we've played. So after today, there'll be another one right here. And also, I put in little character descriptions here of all of the players. So in this campaign, there's Mutt. He's a fixer, climbing the connections in Night City, looking to make it big. And then there's Vesper. I feel like I've explained who everyone is pretty often. She's one of the Netrunners. There's Wraith, who is a solo with connections to Maelstrom. They're a very scary game. And then Mukade, who's the medtech, and me, Leech, the other Netrunner. Then I put a list of reoccurring characters. Oh god, you're gonna be able to see all of the... You're gonna be seeing all of the red lines. It's a very cyberspace focused game. Sort of. Our game master's a little scared of netrunning because they don't really understand how it works. But I've been trying to explain it to them, but they don't have a great enough handle to be able to like make very complex encounters. I'm trying. I want to be able to do like really cool stuff in cyberspace, but I've had to like re-explain the basics multiple times. What system are they using for this game? They're using Cyberpunk Red, but instead of 2045, it takes place in like 2068 or something. These are all of the NPCs that are kind of important that we've encountered. Or have mentioned. A few of these we've only mentioned. And then these are kind of story hooks that we have encountered. Some of them are just full-on quests that we've completed. Or gigs in In Cyberpunk, they're called gigs. Destiny? Wait, was there a girl named Destiny? Destiny. Oh, yeah, she was a loser. She was exactly as her name probably would make you think. I'm Destiny. I'm a reporter for Net64. Anyways, there's some quests and stuff that we've done. Like, we've done a few gigs. We did a train heist, and we did a gig where we ended up having to look for a missing girl. And then there's some that aren't completed. Like, we found a black book with a bunch of illegal jobs and high-profile gigs in it. And then there's a few personal quests. Like, Wraith has a voice in his head. And Leech is on the run from Savoil. He thought it was a blue-haired gnome. They had blue hair, but... Are gnomes... Would gnomes be liberals or conservatives? I don't know. Blue hair might be the only thing that they have in common. Anyways. Oh yeah, 2069! I think the Game Master immediately regretted choosing that year because we all giggled, but... Depends on the gnome, easily. This ain't your grandpa's gnome. This is a blue hair. This is one of them blue-haired gnomes. He was like, well, maybe it won't be 2069 because that seems silly, but I think he should keep it. I think he should keep it. Anyways, the session notes, there's one summary for every game session we've done in. And I will try to summarize everything that has happened so far. It's probably best to do it from this page. We had a big train heist where we all met. And then we got our first gig together. And we did that gig and we met the other netrunner that ended up joining the party later. Then, after that, like, successful Find the Missing Girl gig, there was this weird AI that was, like, doing blackouts throughout the city. And this woman that works for Militech, her daughter got killed during it. And she hired us to help catch the AI. And that took a while, but we eventually killed him, we think. We killed him like twice. And along the way, we met this guy named Pete Novak. And he's an ex-cop. And half the party hates him. And the other half of the party feels bad for him because we kind of ruined his life. You'll find out how badly we ruined his life when I'm reading the recap. And then we started a campaign book. Called A Hope Reborn or something. So everything past session 11 has to do with that campaign book. I think the summary of the book is like this very popular edgerunner hangout, like burns to the ground, and then you have to find it a new place to exist, and I guess all of the gigs and stuff surround the hangout. Do they still play Uma Musume in this timeline? Yes, they do. They do. There have been a few confirmations of like certain things. Like, our game master decided that Hatsune Miku is still around. I think the split from like Cyberpunk canon and the real world takes place in the early 90s. So there's a few things that are still like existing. He likes to joke that Arasaka purchased Nintendo, so they own the Mario franchise. Yeah, the Golden Girls are around, all that good stuff. My character's obsessed with Tom, Toad, Jerry, which is the Japanese version of Tom and Jerry, which we have confirmed still runs in 2069. She loves them. I love them. Okay. on session. So now that we're playing an actual book, I can use pictures that the GM sends from the book. So this is an official like drawing from the adventure that we did, which I've never had to do. I've never been able to do that. I've had, when I first started playing 2nd edition Dungeons and Dragons, like over a decade ago, we were playing modules, but our dungeon master didn't tell us what they were because we were all kids. So he was kind of worried that someone would look them up and cheat. But that was the only other time that I've been doing like modules as a player. I've run a few, but as a player. So it's fun to like play on like an on the rails kind of story. Is a Netwatch a thing? Wait, you mean Netwatch the agency? Is that what they're called? Netwatch? Yeah, hold on. We encountered one of them and we all threatened to kill him. Hold on. We've met a Netwatch agent before. Yeah, here. Major Styles. That's the girl that works for Militech. She sent the group to this Gunrunner to pick up more equipment to fight the Reaper, who is the AI. Basically, we're in the middle of a mission. After they picked up the EMP grenades and scramblers, they left. On the street, a sleek black military van rolled up, and a man in a dark suit and sunglasses stepped out to meet them. He introduced himself as Renzer, a Netwatch agent. The entire group sans Mutt froze. Leech stepped behind Mukade and whispered aloud, "We should kill this guy." The air froze as Renzer overheard her whisper. He quickly hopped in the car, and the driver hit the gas. Mud then went off on Leech, not shouting, but definitely upset. The rest of the group agreed that Netwatch was to be avoided at all costs. Yeah, we've encountered a Netwatch agent before. He was supposed to apparently kind of give us a tip, but we all didn't trust him and we're going to kill him. Okay. So, this is what happened last session. Session 14, Fistful of Monopoly Dollars. Wraith, Mutt, and Leech had just witnessed a prank that left Jack Skorkowski ranting and shouting at them to chase down the big rig that stole his Zarafa crane. He was, he's a real estate agent that we're working with. I'm so stupid. His class, real estate agent. He's like an ex-edge runner, and we were working with him to get a new location for like the hangout that the story has to do with. With little time to spare, and Jack refusing to join them in the chase, Wraith jumped into the driver's seat of Marianne's van. Leech and Mutt hopped into the back as the trio peeled off after the 18-wheeler filled with bozos. Wraith hit the gas. As they caught up to the rig, a bozo by the name of Spoof shouted orders at his henchmen, jacking in and taking control of the Zarafa on the back of the rig. This is the Zarafa! It's like a big crane. Mutt called the switch aloud to his crew, taking note of the bozos. 2 drivers, Spoof, and 3 goons. Leech opened the sliding door on the side of the van. Wind and trash whipped through the air and into the back of the van. You wanna join the bozos? We are saying we should do an all-bozo campaign. Mutt started firing shots at the idiot on the back of the big rig. They fired back, and a bullet makes its mark, slightly wounding Mutt. There's just a group called the Bozos. Yeah, they're a clown gang. They all dress up like clowns. I love them. Leech noticed Spoof interfacing and shouted through the whipping winds to Mutt. If he's interfacing, it's probably with the Zarafa crane. She has a slight Russian accent. I'm very bad at it. Dryly, Mutt shouted into the wind. That's what I said! The big leg lurched, and the head of the Zarafa crane shot forwards. Oh fuck, cussed Wraith. Oh fuck, thought the van, as the head of the crane slammed down into the engine. Glass and metal shattered and twisted. Leech and Mutt were nearly thrown off their feet in the back of the van. Ever the fan of running into danger, Leech shouted, Mutt, follow me! And climbed onto the roof of the van. This was so fun. Sitting herself on top of the moving vehicle, she jumped onto the head of the crane and began to run its length down the back of the big rig. You've gotta be shitting me, Mutt mumbled, watching his netrunner vault onto the truck bed. Come on, Mutt, she called back. Yeah. He began to climb the side of the van. Wait, I remember this because we were running onto the crane, and the other player was like, whoa, I don't want to just sit here and let the crane smash me. I'm gonna leave. And so you're like, you're not gonna get paid if you leave. Wraith, remember you have to stick through the gig if you want to be paid in full, he called, jumping onto the head of Zarafa, just as it lifted up and out of the twisted metal of the van. Some Mad Max shit. On the rig, Bozos took aim at Leech, who managed to evade their fire. One called out, Spoof! Boss, she's too small, I can't hit her! The other shouting, she's too endearing, boss! I believe afterwards I said that I was too cute and funny for them to hit me. Leech advanced onto the back of the rig, sliding underneath one of the goon's legs and onto her feet before aiming a shot at the back of his leg, critically injuring the bozo. He nearly fell off the rig. Disappointed, Leech says, well, you kind of ruined the punchline by not falling off the side of the truck, before moving to continue down the rig. The bozo, however, because we miscalculated how much damage she dealt, so afterwards we had to like turn time back a turn so that he could do this, but the bozo, however, tried to steady himself before and reached out to her, begging, wait, what was the punchline? Before he slipped and fell off the back of the truck. He was immediately pulverized into a liquid by oncoming traffic. Providing cover for Leech from atop the crane, Mutt severely injures Spoof with a well-aimed shots from his Omaha. Mutt then steadied himself as the crane began to move, and he slid sleekly down the neck and rolled to his feet on the back of the big rig. If I was the bozo, things would go differently. No! Catching up to the netrunner, he asked, Leech, can you handle the other two? Mid-fire, she replied curiously, you don't want the netrunner to fight the netrunner? Shrugging, he spoke matter-of-factly, well, he's pretty injured, so I got it handled. Then with a hint of annoyance, she continued, so you want the little girl to fight the two healthy men at the other end of the truck? My party members are dicks. He just responds, is that a problem? Fuck you, she called back, already moving towards the targets Mutt gave her. Mutt approached Spoof, trying to take out the clown before he took out Mariana's van. The bozos in the back fired at Leech, and Mutt fired at Leech and Mutt with assault rifles. One hits Mutt in the back and he grimaces in pain. Leech, ever advancing, cartwheel dives through the air and none of the bullets strike the small girl. I was rolling really, really high on my evasion checks. I felt like Porno, the character from Dona Dona. The crane slammed onto the side of some buildings thanks to Spoof's doing. He cackled about ruining Jack's property. We are using the black chrome stuff, yeah. We're hoping that the next, I think it's Rusted Chrome, comes out soon. Sorry, Leximus, I didn't see your message. At this point, Wraith has a handle on Marianne's junk van and pulls up to the side of the big rig. Taking shots of bozos through the driver's side window, he managed to hit one of the goons on the big rig's back end. You killed the Netrunner. I was getting frustrated because Mutt kept missing shooting Spoof. So on my turn, I called to him and I said, "Did you kill the Netrunner yet?" Leech called back to Mutt in the firefight. Annoyed, Mutt retorted, "You're being too fucking loud for me to focus." Leech turns back and tries to kill Spoof with a shot from her revolver, but he takes the lead and continues interfacing with the crane. I shot him and he still wasn't dead yet. The DM was like, he's barely alive. He's hanging by a thread. Oh shit, that guy's a roach. Leech backed off of Mutt. Okay, good luck with him. With a deep sigh, Mutt finally lined up a shot on the wires plugged into the crane and severed Spoof's connection to the local net architecture. His cyberdeck went wild before a wisp deep-fried Spoof's brain, and the bozo collapsed, bleeding out of his nose, eyes, and ears. The Zarafa immediately powered down and leaned out over the rig, hovering ominously close to the van. Wraith hit a low gear and put room between him and the rig. The crane's head dragged along cement, and the truck fishtailed, crashing and scraping into a halt in the middle of the street. As Wraith approached the van, the remaining bozos were fleeing. He struck one with Marianne's van as he peels up, splattering the clown with a sharp honk. We took a dog toy and squeezed it when he hit the clown. Like at the table, we found a dog toy and we squeezed it. The solo then stepped out of the van and shot the bozo driver in the center of the spine. He collapsed, alive but paralyzed. Leech ripped the remnants of Spoof's wires out of the Zarafa's interface and jacked in. She slid past the Wisp's black ice and took over the control node, depositing a program at the bottom of the net architecture, instilling a cartoonish fear of clowns into the crane's AI before jacking out. This will be fun. Your D&D party were all team people and you were the oddball. Red is so much fun to play. Wraith loomed over the clown and patted him down, taking his belongings. Oh, let me change the song. Among his equipment and eddies were a fistful of Monopoly play money. The clown laughed. "But please don't take that. It's my retirement fund." Wraith took the money nonetheless. Wraith is Maureen's character. She was like, I look at him like hatefully and I take the money from his hands. Mutt approached the clown, throwing a coat over the body to hide it from the Zarafa, as per Leech's advice. She called to him, "It's not my fault! I'm not in charge of the Zarafa's emotions!" He knew she was lying when she said the crane had developed a fear of clowns, but he didn't have time to argue with her games. Jacking in and jacking out. That's what netrunners do. When they interface with a net architecture and enter the net, it's called jacking in. And when they jack out, when they leave, it's called jacking out. Eyeing Wraith curiously when informed about the play money, Mutt held it up in the clown's face. "Think this is enough to cover your medical bills?" The clown chuckled nervously. I don't know. What with the deductibles these days and the... Mutt pressed the clown for more information. He learned that the bozos had chosen to mess with Jack because the great bozo saw one of his ads and liked his face. They then thought he'd make a good patsy and began to fuck with him. Mutt asked the bozo if he thought the circus would target Jack again after this incident, and the clown giggled. "What do you mean, think? We're clowns. We're stupid. We don't think. Hilaria 2060, I think it's 2069, is ending soon, and Big Top wants his own circus. The rings are too busy infighting. We won't have time to fuck with Jack no more." Satisfied, Mutt took a step back and pulled the coat off of the bozo. The Zarafa, struck with fear like an elephant seeing a cartoon mouse, reared up onto two legs, and then repeatedly smashed the bozo into a pulpy, bloody mess. I had a game as a kid that said on the box, "You jack the enemies to take them over." You jack the enemies to take them over. I can't believe Spoof was jacking it on the back of that big rig. That's horrifying. Anyways, the trio gathered what loot they could off of the dead clown gamers. There was some biotech and cyberware among the bodies, so Wraith called up a contact at Maelstrom to fetch the bodies for Ripper to pull the parts out of them. Leech took Spoof's cyberdeck and its programs. On note, the sword program, which is like one of the main attack programs, his sword programs were massive, like, mallets. So if you use them in the net, they just appear as, like, giant, cartoonish, like, wooden mallets. There was a lot of jacking. Mutt called Jack, and he wasn't too far behind. Stepping out of his car and looking up at the Zarafa in one piece, he clapped, genuinely impressed with the Edgerunners. He told them that they saved his ass a bunch of money, and Mutt explained the bozos wouldn't be messing with him again. Relieved, Jack told the gang that if they ever needed a place to rent, he always had room for fellow Edgerunners. Because apparently he's a retired Edgerunner. The gang left him to settle the crash he promised. Oh, the gang left him to settle the crash, and he promised that he'd find a place suitable for the Forlorn Hope within the month. He paid them each 1,500 eddies, which is like a lot. Satisfied, the trio drove the still smoking and dented van Marianne had lent them to the nearest burger dude, where they witnessed a casual break-and-enter. Leech leaned over Wraith in the driver's seat and made her order before Wraith gave the clerk, wasting away his life at the burger joint, his and Mutt's orders. I made sure to explain that my character was doing it like in the meme, where like they're like, she wanted to order, and it's like a view from the passenger seat of them like leaning over, and it's like all butt. Hold on, let me show you a picture of my character. This is my character. So she leaned over him and made her order, but in like the same way that the meme that the meme goes. She's not a big head. She doesn't have a big head. Don't be mean. The order was filled, and they quickly received someone else's order, but with more items. Wraith thought, Wraith threw a fistful of Monopoly money at the clerk, and then Mutt, feeling bad, flicked him 100 eddies before they peeled out of the drive-thru. They dropped off the van at the med center Marianne and her husband were at. His condition seemed to be improving. Marianne is the owner, I guess, of the Forlorn Hope. They apologized for the van's damage, and they were all paid 500 eddies. Mutt was also able to have his bullet wounds operated on for free under Marianne's surveillance. Oh, influence. Miko's jacking in. Leaving Mutt there. Sorry, I have to clear my throat. I have like some gunk at the back of it. Leaving Mutt there, Leech and Wraith took the Metro Transit up to the Watson Industrial area. Leech stole an ugly green coat from a drunk man on the train car and donned her "Man, I love Little China" hat as they stepped out of the train car. Wraith told her that she should try reading up on fashion before they split ways, each headed to conduct their own business. Wraith made his way to the new location of the Totentanz in the old hotel building. Entering the club as usual, he made his way into Quake's area of the club, where cyberware was being installed and ripped off of cold and warm bodies. In the din of the loud industrial music, he talked with Quake. The gang was interested in whose blood would be spilling around the new area. Oh, the new wait. The area of the new location for the Forlorn Hope. What gang presence would be there, and etc. Quake asked Wraith to get the sit rep on the area for Maelstrom. After boozing and doing some drugs through the night, he eventually went home. The she wanted to order memes are hilarious. I love them. They're really cute. Leach made her way into the industrial area and found herself between the Petrochem and Savoil buildings. She took a long look at the Savoil building, making note of how many entrances and gates led into it, where the cameras were placed, and how many guards were there, and their equipment. There was a main front entrance with a guard post, and a side entrance for trucks, plus some ventilation shafts higher up in the building. It was quite a few stories tall, nothing as big as in Moscow, but still, a large presence. Leach climbed a nearby derelict building and found a good view of the front of the Savoil complex. It was from atop this building that she scanned for the net citadel of the Savoil building. I rolled a 25 total interface, which is wild because this game uses D10s. She expected something fierce, and it met expectations. The Savoil net citadel was made up of several net architectures, woven within each other. Its access points were beyond reach, and probably heavily guarded within the building too. She sat down and watched the building, thoughts running, until morning. In the morning, Leach and Wraith accidentally met back up on the train car home, and rode back to Bridgetown in silence. The next day, Mutt called up Pete Novak. It was the ex-cop that we have encountered multiple times, and asked him if he could catch a drink at the deli. Pete, reluctant, agreed to meet him there in a groggy voice. Pete arrived at the deli after Mutt, hair overgrown and donning a bathrobe and slippers. His hair was a bit greasy and uncut. Pete asked Mutt what he wanted, and explained that things have gotten pretty rough for him, setting his pistol down on the counter and pulling up a single bullet left. The bartender asked Pete if he wanted as usual, but he waved him off, saying not today. Mutt ordered the expensive sandwich for Pete on his eddies. I know, he rolled up like the Big Lebowski. Mutt then invited Pete... Oh, his codename is Skyline, I forgot. Mutt then invited Pete Skyline along for their next gig, claiming the gang might need a hired gun, and also just kind of feeling a little bad for the sorry mess this guy's life had become. A flicker of life under Pete's eyes, but he was still in a sour mood, scarfing down the sandwich Mutt had bought for him. Pete asked Mutt if he was up to anything that week, and Mutt invited Pete over to watch cartoons at Leach's place. Oh! Later on, Mutt arrived at Leach's cargo container, who was in a half-asleep daze. Confused, as she was usually an early riser, Mutt told her to go get some sleep, and he let himself in. Pete later arrives and knocks, waking up Leach, who tried to get the door but was jump-scared by Mutt being in her house. Mutt explained what was happening, and he told her to rest and that he'd get the door. As Pete entered, she warned him not to table over the new Tom to Jerry episodes she had recorded. They order pizza and watch TV. At some point, Vesper ends her stream next door for the day and comes over to chill and eat pizza too. Vesper is the other netrunner, and her day job is she's a streamer. That evening, Leach finally got up from sleep and changed before returning to tell the others she had to go out to make a purchase. Mutt, Vesper, and Pete go with Leach to the local Cyber Shack, which is Night City's version of Radio Shack. where she bought an old security camera. As the clerk was digging around for the cameras brought in by his nomad connections, Mutt explained to a curious leech what a nomad is. Mutt then asked her what the camera was for, and she replied that she needed to set up surveillance on an area. Excitedly, Pete pokes his head into the conversation and asks Leech if she was conducting a stakeout. Yes, I suppose it is a stakeout. Pete got excited by the concept and asked to tag along to install the camera, but grew wary when she mentioned she'd be installing it across from the Savoil complex. Mutt, worried, pressed her for more info, and she asked if they could discuss it somewhere a little more private. Yeah, Radio Shack survives in this timeline. The gang headed to the coffee bar where they first met Vesper, and Leech pays off the guy running the place to step outside for a smoke. Alone in the place, Leech explained that she wanted a week of nightly surveillance of the front gate of Savoil. Pete and Mutt warn her not to tingle with Megacorps, and ask if she knows what she's poking. Leech shows Pete the Savoil symbol and barcode that's on her arms, and she says she knows all too well, but that she wants proof that the CEO of Savoil is in Night City, just as the Recluse had informed her. When asked why she needs to know by Mutt, Leech responded, "Information is a weapon, and currently, I'm unarmed." I felt really cool when I said that line. I made it up on the spot. I made it up on the spot. I felt really cool when I said it. Where am I? She explained she wants to know if a certain man had arrived in Night City with the CEO, an overseer of a Savoil intelligence program. The entire conversation, as she sips her not-so-hot coffee, Vesper holds a stone-cold poker face, not making a comment on what she saw in the Black Book files. The four of them head from the coffee bar into Watson and climb the derelict building across from Savoil. They hide and install the 12-hour surveillance camera, and Leech took a long, hard look at the building before they left. As downtime for the week began, Mutt socialized with the gang and begins to include the newly added Pete Novak into group social activities. Leech visited the derelict building every evening and collected the 12 hours of video surveillance before resetting the camera and returning home. Wraith barely returns to Bridgetown, spending his nights out and his days sleeping. At the end of the week, lifestyle and rent are paid, and Mutt received a call from Marianne. Jack had found a spot for the Forlorn Hope, Woodland Park. It was located between North Haywood and New Westbrook, across the water from Bridgetown. Marianne wanted them to check out the area and move into the neighborhood for a month, make contacts, learn about the place, and identify any threats. She'd pay them. I don't remember how many ideas she pays. She offered quite a bit. I don't remember how much. There were 4 choices for the living situation, but I did not write them down. Because immediately we chose one. Leech and Vesper immediately get excited about the idea of moving into the shark was one of the places, and begin to plan moving in together before the rest of the gang was even able to voice their opinion on the matter. We'll need fiber optic and the best network, Vesper stated seriously. We'll probably need 2 not architectures, Leech responded. The duo already settled on where the gang was moving. With a sigh, Mutt began to look at the finances. If each of them split a 2-bedroom apartment at the Sharks, individually it would come down to 1750 eddies each, which was admittedly doable. Both Mukade and Wraith refused to room with an ex-pig, and thus Mutt and Pete would have to rent a room together, leaving Mukade and Wraith to rent a 2-bedroom as well, or settle on paying for more individual studios. They hadn't figured that out at the end of the game. They were like, we'll figure that out later. Nonetheless, the gang... No, Coomers. No copper wires. Nonetheless, the gang moved to Woodland Park. Borrowing the beat-to-shit van, Marianne hesitantly loaned them a second time. And that was the end of the session! I don't know how much of that made sense. Was that enjoyable? It was very fun. It was very fun. I was kind of tripping over the words a little bit. I really like playing as Leech. She's fun. I had to kind of explain the architectures to the game master, so I'm hoping that he did a little bit of research. Aw, you're Evie. You like to imagine yourself as those bozos. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was fun. I want to know. I want to know what's on that surveillance camera footage. Mm-hmm. It's fun playing games that aren't like the normal D&D fantasy setting. I don't know, it's fun to like play somewhat outside of the box. Cause there's so much other stuff you can do, especially in like a futuristic setting. There seemed to be a ton that happened. Well, normally the group is 5 people, but only 3 of us were able to play. So we got like a lot done. Cause there was a lot of less like, no one was fighting or arguing over stuff. And combat took way faster because there were only 3 of us. You like Numenera for that? I've seen Numenera, but I've never played it or read about it. Yeah. It's fun, it's fun. Stretchy. Alright, we should probably work on my stuff now. So, I'm gonna run to the bathroom. And then we will start working on my Pathfinder stuff. Does that sound okay? Yeah? Is that okay? Okay. I will be right back. Mwah. my Libra document? Wait. Libra office. There it is. Yay! Hi! Hi! Hello. Hi. Let me make this font a little bigger. Hi. We're mostly gonna just relax and work together now. Just need to find my favorite font. Here it is. Can you read this? Hello. Yeah? Okay, good. So I did buy the newest Pathfinder book. I got Pathfinder Battlecry, which I'm gonna be honest with you, the cover of which looks really bad. I've always really hated the Pathfinder. The fonts that they choose, I don't know why they choose these ridiculous typesettings, but I've mentioned it before, so I'm not gonna. I won't complain about it too much today. Slightly bigger? Okay, we can make it slightly bigger. There you go. I got it because it had it has a bunch of new equipment and items and stuff, but it also had some vehicles, and I was thinking about using them. But a large part of it is like large scale combat, and I haven't been able to like fully read through it yet, but it seems like their version of like large scale combat. I'm not sure how good it is, but it does seem different. It seems different than other systems. Would you cry in the battle? Ura! Usually ura. I read through the new classes. They're called Guardian and Commander, and they're both really neat. I like the way they work. I like the way that they work. I think a Guardian can mostly be summed up by the Onion Knight from Dark Souls. the big onion, like round onion guy. That's pretty much what Guardian is. It's just basically based off of having the most armor you possibly can, but also like taunting and aggroing enemies, which I think is really cool. I think that having actual abilities to do that are cool. Here's a homie. There is a race in the game, but I don't really buy books for additional races for my TTRPGs. I know a lot of like modern players they get excited at the concept of a new race, but you can just make that up. I don't need a rule book to tell me that I want a Jotun-born or whatever. Ball of tank! Yeah, exactly. One of my big gripes with Pathfinder books, though, is they always put so much lore into the book. There's like these articles that are like first-person perspectives of the two example characters that they use. And I like the idea of having example characters for new classes because it explains and gives you a name to like explain the concept of the class with. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see here. I think there's 10 in total. 5, 6 pages. There might only be 8, but there's like 8 or 10 pages that are just telling, like, talking about events in the like official Pathfinder setting, which I do not care about at all. I don't care about their setting. That's not why I buy their books. So just having like 10 pages out of 200, I wish it was like 2 pages. I wish it was like 2 pages. 10 pages is too much. And it's also, it's like, oh, these stories will be continued. An hour up and coming novel. And it's like, I'm not gonna be reading your novel. I don't care. I kind of feel the same way about some of the Cyberpunk books content. Except for the ones that are very, very like world specific. But I also think that that's different because you're playing in much more of a custom setting that is tailored to the system. And I'm just using Pathfinder for its rules, not for its setting. You've never DM'd the default setting of a tabletop role-playing game. There's only a few that I would do that for, and Pathfinder is definitely not one of them. Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's gotta be at least... There might actually be 10 pages of these. I don't really enjoy the POV perspective, which has become really popular ever since the Volo's Guide to Monsters that 5th edition did. The Wizards of the Coast published. I really, really, really hated all of the stupid little, oh, I'm Volo, and I'm gonna give you a goofy little description of the monster. I really hate it. But I hate Wizards of the Coast more than any other publisher, so I will just try to survive among the Pathfinder lore drops. Have you ever gone into Mech Warrior books? I haven't. I really wanted to get into Battletech, I think is what it's called. Cause my roommate found this ancient poster that I think was just like for a fan group for Battletech in like the 80s or 90s in like a vintage store, and it was just like it was put up as like an advertisement to come play their game, but it was so well done and well made that they put it in like a frame after buying it, and it looks really, really cool. You try to get into Mech Warrior books, and you have like 3 Mech Warrior novels. Is that related to Battletech? I know there's like a whole series that's gone back for like a while now. Oh, it is Battletech. Okay. You turned your Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition into Fire Emblem? Ha! That's cool! I always thought it'd be fun to have like a Fire Emblem themed campaign. Cause it's kind of like I don't know all about the new games like connecting all of the universes, but I always thought of it like Final Fantasy, where like every universe kind of has the same like mythos. Like there's the Fire Emblem, and there's probably the Lord that is the main character, and like a dark dragon, and it just gives you a lot of different ways to spin that tail. Omnimax to regular max and such. What is an Omnimac? Anyways. I did buy Battle Cry because of the vehicle rules, which aren't really vehicle rules. They just added a bunch of new vehicles, and the large scale combat rules, because I might use those because there's currently a war going on in my game. How different is Pathfinder from 5th edition? Very different. Pathfinder is based off of 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragons. So you'll see some similar stuff, but a lot of things will be very different. Because it grew in a way that is different from how 4th edition grew. But, so, what I wanted to do with you is, I have some stuff that I've been planning. My campaign is called Ghost Walk, which is from the 3rd edition book, Ghost Walk. But it's very different. It's very different from that. But that's the inspiration for the name. Different kinds of autocannons. Oh, different jammer tech and jammer. I don't know what any of the tech from Battletech or Mech Warriors is. So I'm a little bit lost in all of those acronyms and stuff. What devious plans do I have for you? So, currently, there's a few factions at play right now, in my game. There's the Empire of Gothia, and I'm gonna pull up my... I have to pull up my campaign document so I can copy some information from it. But I don't want to have it open up accidentally, so give me just a moment. Should be in here somewhere. Give me just a second. I'm gonna open it and download it as a PDF. There are like 2 Mech Warrior 5 games? What does that mean? Right? Okay. Send to... Oh. Web only. I want to just be able to copy and paste the information that I've already written here. It's such a big document. It's like it's loading the export onto we're just publishing Pathfinder PDF. It's doing the pages one by one. It's at page 63. I think it's how many pages is this? I think it's like 200 pages, so I guess we can yap while we wait. Hi, audience! Hi! MechWarrior 5 Clan says 5-player co-op. I'm a little overwhelmed with the amount of MechWarrior information that is being drip-fed into the chat right now. I am curious, but I will probably have to take my own time to absorb this information. No offense meant. Word crashed. Oh, word crashed. Please hold. Okay, there we go. Oh, so it's 250 pages of my notes. Let's see here. A lot of this is going to be outdated. But should have enough information for me to explain stuff. Okay. Empire of Gothia. Yeah, this is way too much information. we'll have to cut some of this. It's capital. We'll cut all of that out. Claiming to be the successor state of the empire that was, the Empire of Gothia was founded centuries after the fall of the Old Guard by Emperor Idric Goetic. Underneath the Emperor Emeldot. I think Emeldot is the current empress. Consuls, legates, and tribunes that Gothia inherited from its ancestral empire now reorganized. Okay. That's good enough. That's a good enough explanation of what they are. They're this big imperial empire, and they rose from the ashes of what they believe is their lineage, like empire, which is the empire that was. That's all it's ever called. It doesn't have like a name. Sometimes there will be a historian in the game that will call it the Empire of the Margrave, because they covered generally the entirety of the greater Margrave area, which I will show you just a second. If I close this and I close this, this is all the Margrave. Gothia is this area centered on screen. But everything from the Welving Wilds to the Bivouac Mountains and south to the Meridian Mountains, that's all the Margrave. And they used to rule all of that area, but now they just rule that little area that I had in the center of the screen. So they are one of the factions at play here. And then the other one is this little kingdom underneath my Libra window. The Palatinate of Ostara. And they basically just control land-wise in the Margrave, that peninsula that they're sitting on. But they are just as powerful, if not more powerful in different ways. They are a colonial empire. They hold a lot of colonies overseas. That's a lot of Pokemon Go walking space. Yes. Yes, it is. Let's see here. Oh wow, I have a lot of information written about this kingdom. A lot. I think this kingdom actually has a timeline too. Palatinate of Ostara. Once a Palatinate of the empire that was, known as the Palsgrave of Ostara, the Palatinate outlived the empire that bore it. Bless you! The Palatinate remained part of the empire, with Baeland becoming its capital. In the years, she has been so loud. I'm closing the door. Whenever my room... Oh, hold on, the door opened. Whenever my roommate has a day off, she kind of goes ADHD and like hyper cleans. Which I understand because like it's like your one time that you're able to clean, but I always feel bad because I'm like left in the dust. Okay. With Balin becoming the capital in the years following 0 SR, which was the 0 SR is the time system, which is when the empire that was fell. I don't think this information is really important for us to have right here. It looks like I basically gave a little history lesson here. Basically, I can get rid of all of this. They are a kingdom that is slowly being overwhelmed from the inside by the merchant class. And this whole description that I put here in my campaign notes explains why that happened. Basically a company called the West Palatine Company is just as powerful as the Queen right now. Here we go. Contemporary Star is far from peaceful. With recent aggressions between the West Palatine Company and the Royal Navy Corps of Runa Alpa and the Fringe, that is a completely different faction. And tensions rising at home between the establishment of the Lord Palatinate alongside the Paladins and the rising wealthy landowning middle class. Furthermore, the ruling Lord Palatinate has dispatched both the free regiments of the West Palatinate and the Paladins into the neighboring collapsed state of Morvale with intent to extend their own borders. Okay, now we're on topic. Gothia also did the same thing. Recently, troops were marched south into the lawless, fallen lands, I guess we'll say, of Morvale. In the Empress's name to bring peace to lands rife with turmoil. Both of these kingdoms, both of these factions, were neighbors of a place called Morvale, which is right here, right behind where I was typing. And they both decided, wow, there was a revolution there and everything's a bloody mess. Let's just move our troops there under the under the guise that we are reestablishing the peace, but actually we want this. We want this. So these are two factions that are in conflict with each other. Additionally, there's some others. I mean, there's a whole bunch, but they're not all very important to the plot that's going on. I will grab a few that are important to the plot. Let's see here. Thank you for the follow. In Gothia, there is a faction of warriors called the Crown's Guard. And they are the main military host of Gothia, easily identifiable by their maroon-painted plate armor and green cloaks. They take oaths to protect the royal family. Also, in Gothia, is this group called the Ministry of Reflections. And they are a counterintelligence agency. They work for the crown. Though the average citizen of Gothia know the ministry, the inner workings of the political body are secretive. Many rumors spin around the secretive order, including the existence of so-called basilisk agents, the hands of the Inquisitor, who's the leader of the ministry, said to be able to petrify someone with a glance. My players learned that that is true. There are basilisk agents. So these two factions are under this one, but they kind of are at odds with each other over how business is to be conducted. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I banned them. No, in Gothia. I was just talking with my lisp. Where did I put that? There it is. Okay. In the Platinate, there's also more than one army, but they're not really. They're not really at odds with each other. They have the yet. Yet. They are at odds with each other, but it's not important to the plot yet. Platinate army. The armed forces of the Platinate are composed of two types of commissioned soldiers. The Paladins, an order of warriors loyal to the crown, and the West Palatinate Company, a chartered mercenary force under the crown. I would actually say the free companies of the West Palatinate Company, because they are their own thing. A chartered mercenary force under the crown. Soldiers under the command of these two types. Wait, soldiers under the command of these two factions, I guess is what I would say. Maybe considered enlisted if not already in their ranks. Okay. I can get rid of that. The West Palatinate Company is the biggest company, merchant company in my setting. And they're slowly becoming more powerful than the Palatinate that they are from. A chartered merchant company of Ostora, the West Palatinate is a powerful force in the Fringe. The Fringe is like this big ocean area. Some lords of Ostora consider the West Palatinate a threat to their power, as several merchant lords have risen to power through the company's efforts. We already have quite a few factions here. But there are two big guys. There are two big guys, and then there's a bunch of squabbling guys underneath them. Are we following? Are we following? What are you writing for? I'm writing for my tabletop game. No, I have my own setting. It's okay, no worries. Generally, it's Gothia versus Ostora, the Platinate. And all of the factions underneath the two of them are kind of tangling with each other. These are two driving forces against each other. Unrelated to that, well, sort of unrelated to that, tension. Oh, thank you, Armitage. Unrelated to that tension, we have the company of the Hanged Men. They are my game's version of the Black Company. They're known for their ruthlessness on the battlefield, and they can trace their origins to the empire that was. I don't really need that. But one of my players, one of Kumo's players, is in this faction. They were hired by one of these guys to mess with the other one. We have no confirmation on who hired them. There's also there's a few factions left over from the fall of the kingdom that they're squabbling over, but I think their spotlight in the story is over. There's also a faction that has to do with my players, called the Red Priests. These worshippers of the Red Lady. Her name is Wee Jaws. But she has some other names. I like to grab a few different gods that are similar and be like, oh, these are her many names. They believe that the Imperator, the undying leader of the empire that was the reincarnation of their god. Their practice and worship in Gothia is banned due to uprisings in the land of Kasich, and they are seen as a threat to the crown. In recent games, they want to kidnap one of the players. This is the player that I mentioned, Sasha, the fire-cursed human. Because they believe, and I'm not sure if the players know this character could be what's the word? They could be not a jar, but a a good body, a good container for the next version of their deity. A good mantle for their god. Okay. There is another faction that is ghosts, and I don't have a lot of information on them. I will probably need to make more information on them. Because I want them to be very important, but I'm not really sure what they're up to. In my setting, there are these things called ghost walks, and they are storms, like, I guess similar to the ones from The Witcher, as far as I've heard. Where ghosts lead into the mortal plane. And a few of the ghosts are part of, I wouldn't even call it a faction, I would call it, the will of this creature. The Tides of Edeltris. Tides are more a force than a faction, Spirits swept into the ethereal march of the bereft regent. They slaughter all on their ways. The bereft regent. This is information I haven't read for a while, so I'm not sure how happy I am with this information. Ageltress, the bereft regent, uses ghost walks to visit the mortal plane. She gathers haunts that follow her in a cavalcade on a soul-weaving chase across the countryside. Ageltress is the product of the empire that was. She was once a powerful sorceress in love with the Imperator, who rose against them and became one of the 8 who were. She fell in combat against the Imperator during the Great Rebellions, and she was cast out of the material plane into solitude, in the ethereal sea where she was imprisoned. Now twisted by death and time, Ageltress's Major Lieutenant Ninhel, the Craven Wraith, has returned. The players have met this guy. the first session, the slave prison ship that they were on was attacked by this guy. The return to the mortal plane is yearning to free her. Her sorcery drawing power from living. She seeks to build an army capable of assaulting solitude to free herself and prisoners cast out from the world and return henceforth with vengeance. Okay, I don't know how happy I am with this. I know the general notes and emotions that I want from this character are here, but I'm not sure if I'm going about it the right way. A vessel, that's the word. Vessel was the right word. Thank you. You're running a campaign, your players are gaslit and think it's gonna take place entirely in Eberron. You like when gods have different names, even in real life people worship the same guy just with different names. Yeah, I like to consider that like very a given fact. Like some of the deities in the game I'll be like, oh, they worship him by a different name, and he's slightly different in this culture. But it's generally the same concept that they're worshipping. Yeah, I can put some notes here, but generally, I think this lady should be insane. This lady has lost her mind. I think that's a given. I think that's a given. But her plan, her end goal, I suppose her end goal would be to destroy the empire that was, which she doesn't know is gone. So that could just be destroy the empire. She wouldn't know any better. She wouldn't know any better because she is insane. But I think her current goal would be to free herself from her ghost prison. Free herself and her lieutenants, because she probably has more than one lieutenant. Lieutenant. Okay. Ageltress. She's an important NPC. Another important NPC is from the Ministry of Reflections. And the players have met this guy. This guy is very, very important to the plot. And he's kind of my favorite character in the game so far. His name is Kronbod. And I like to say that his face claim, the guy that he looks like, the actor that would play him, is Giancarlo Esposito. I even have this little picture of him. Let me see if I can post it in here. Oh, no, I can't. Damn. Okay. Let me copy this over. There's a lot of information here for me to cut through. So I'm going to delete a lot of this. Because I wrote a lot about him. He's the current Inquisitor of the Ministry of Reflections. The Julius Caesar type. He's charismatic, a war leader, and someone who gets things done. Inspired by Emery Reeves, Georgia Fedotov. Here we go. I think I've mentioned him on stream before. He believes that imperial expansion is the natural progression of human evolution. Furthermore, he believes that attempting to unify all nations in a peaceful manner would fail. Conquest should be quickened by any means to end all war. And he is fascinated and somewhat obsessed with souls, animancy, and manipulation of souls. Mocha-chan! Hi, Mocha-chan! Hello! Welcome, readers! Hi! Thank you for the read! What are you guys up to? Hi, I'm Kumo. They're polite, quiet reads somehow. Welcome. Welcome. We are writing for my Dungeons and Dragons campaign right now. As you can see behind me, I have my map. I have my map behind me. And we're writing. I don't have to do a recap today, so I'm planning campaign stuff. Mookie is our little cousin, since little sisters are taken. Where? Mooka-chan, are we cousins? Yes, there's probably a dragon somewhere in the game. We were just discussing one of my favorite NPCs in the campaign, and I think it's Lily's favorite too. When I was describing this guy, Lily was like, "Oh, he's cool. He's a cool bad guy." We're cousins. It's more likely than you think. We were discussing Kron Bad. You know he's a bad guy because he has bad for his last name. But he is interested in animancy and souls and their manipulation. God has been conducting illegal experiments on souls from the Skystone Quarry for some years now. He believes that the known reality sits on the edge of a vast emptiness that threatens to swallow the whole known. I think this part is kind of unimportant, but it is an important character trait, but it's unimportant for the plot. It sort of explains his theory on sorcery and souls, but it's not really important. He is friends with Huge Man. So this guy's an important character, and the players met him. And this lady's an important character, but the players have only encountered one of her minions. And it was forever ago. There's another important character that may be dead. She was part of a group of adventurers. And I thought I wrote them down. So maybe I can copy paste it. But maybe not. Okay, maybe not. Let's see here. Moko-chan, I don't know if you plan on staying. I know it's pretty late back home, so if you're going to go to bed or something, thank you so much for the read. Thank you, thank you. You never played a tabletop? I really want to run a game for my friends. Not maybe not on stream, but if you ever maybe wanted to play with me and I can make Lily play, I would very much enjoy that. Oh no, I'm sorry for your sleep schedule. Rest in peace. Let's see. I was looking for a document my player made. Here it is, I think. Yeah, okay, hold on. Wait, no. Not that document. There's a lot of documents in here. You were just gonna ask about Dragon 2, Lexmas? I'm so far behind in the YouTube chat. I'm so sorry. Here we go. I'm trying to remember the name of the adventuring party. There's an adventuring party. Mostly deceased. This is kind of important to multiple aspects of the plot. I'm trying to remember their names. It's something... something slightly German, I think. The Verentlanders. Okay, that was their name. They were an adventuring party that is now mostly deceased. Founded by one of the players' moms. Sasha's, the fire blessed human. They worked around Morvale and attempted to stop the chaos there, but were put down and wiped out by the Hanged Man. This was all before the campaign started. So there's this woman, their leader, thank you for the follow, named Adrienne Dumont, and she is the mother of Sasha. But she is an inventor. Or was an inventor. And scientist. I'm trying to find my document about the things she makes. I might just have to summarize it for you. You really want to run a game of Meads the Ascension one day? We were looking through, because I play in a Cyberpunk game that I really love. And I made a really, really detailed, campaign debrief. And we were looking at that earlier. I like playing in games that are very different from the norm of, like, Dungeons and Dragons. But I also really, really like making, one that is very much within the bounds of Dungeons and Dragons. I run this game with Pathfinder rules. Having more niche system as your choice is pain. There's a lot of stuff I have to sort of take the jank out of. We play 2nd edition. My previous game I ran in 5th edition, but then I got really, really upset with Wizards of the Coast, and I decided I'd never buy a product from them ever again. Mother of Sausage was an inventor and scientist. One of her creations, the Esper, I think it was called the Esper apparatus. It might not be. Hold on, I might be stealing that name from something else. Let me double check. You know when your brain like remembers something and you're like, ah, yes, I know what that is, but then it's actually not that at all. Oh yeah, it's called the Esper apparatus. Okay. It's made out of an unidentified alloy that had the appearance of a gauntlet and was said to create and destroy with magic-like effects without the arcane. The device appears meant to channel energy out of nothingness. This is one of the things that I need help with, I think. Because my intent, because she wrote about these things in her journal that she called, where is it? Here we go. She wrote about this thing in her journal. This chapter attempts to analyze symptoms of those that have experienced interdimensional events and circumstances. There are interviews with a variety of subjects, mostly hedge mages and the wizard Gorm, attempting to understand the presence of lingering particles invisible to the human eye that radiate energy with such an imposing life cycle that it's almost impossible to detect their decay process. Adrian refers to these particles as something she calls radiation. So she has this gauntlet that she made that harnesses particles that she calls radiation. And An unidentified alloy? Yes, an unidentified alloy. I don't know exactly what I want all the abilities of this gauntlet to be, but I know that I want one of its uses to be tearing into the ethereal plane. No, you don't want to eat this alloy, honey. It's uranium. The gauntlet is uranium. She doesn't know that. No one knows that because no one's found it yet. But yeah. No, you don't want to eat that. No nibbling the uranium gauntlet. And it's called a gauntlet, but it looks more like a device. Not a gauntlet in the traditional sense. I want one of its uses to be tearing into the ethereal plane. I could make up some mumbo jumbo. About it, tearing through the particles between planes. Because it doesn't have to make sense in a science kind of way. It just needs to make sense in a... I explain it, and oh yeah, that makes sense. But I also needed to have some... When the players find it, and they will find it pretty soon, I need to explain, because it's not exactly uranium. It's not like it's literally a chunk of uranium, but it's something similar enough to uranium that is what my players have sort of conceived. Particles tear the boundaries plane so that the users move between them. Yeah, I think it will do that. I think it will have a sort of Misty Step ability. When the players find it, I need to explain one, how it looks when it's working. 2, what it does, but not all of what it does. And 3, I need to know who wants it and why. I already kind of know who wants it. Who wants it? The Palatinate of Ostara. And actually, we can go even more specific. The Queen of Ostara. And Kron Bod. Both want it. Why do they want it? Kronbod probably wants it because it can do something to human souls. Because he is obsessed with animancy and soul manipulation. I don't know why the Queen of Ostara wants it, other than she probably wants it because it can be weaponized. queen wants it to use it against the merchant class. The merchant lords is what we'll say. Other than Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder, what other tabletop role-playing games do you know? I know enough of Pathfinder 2nd edition to be able to run it. I know 4th edition and 3rd edition in and out. And I know enough about 2nd edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons to be able to run that. But I would have to reread a lot of stuff because it's been a long time. I've been playing in a Cyberpunk campaign and I really want to write a module for Cyberpunk. I just haven't had time to sit down and plan that out. And I have a, there's this really cute board game it's my favorite board game. It's called Roots. And they have a tabletop role-playing game. But I've not had time to read through the rules yet. But one day I would like to run a Roots tabletop role-playing game, just for fun. Wow, you wanted to learn Daggerheart, but the group was so big you had to split the group in two. That is crazy. That's awesome. Particle star bonders. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like Root. Root is so cute. I like it a lot. I would want to play a Root game, but I would want to theme it in a way where all of the motifs and all of the plot points are very Old West themed. Not in like your cowboys kind of way, but in a sort of, this land is lawless and it will soon become ruled by the law. So you can only run so far before civilized society and all of the rules and everything that it will compel upon your being catch up to you. Oh, Mouse Guard! Mouse Guard, I've heard of Mouse Guard. I've never played or read about Mouse Guard, but I've heard of it. Yeah, before those Pinkertons get you, exactly. Except it would be the what is the name of the Marquis de Cat? It would be Marquis de Cat's soldiers. I love Legends of Adventures, yes! I love Bitsy the mouse. I love Bitsy so much. I wanted to be Bitsy for Halloween one year. I love Bitsy. My favorite Bitsy quote is because Bitsy knows that the campaign started like 2 sessions ago, and Bitsy just goes, as we all know, the world came into being on a Wednesday. Yeah, it's the one with the woodland critters. Hi, James. You saw a Bitsy cosplay? It was so good. There's a girl that like lip syncs Bitsy lines, and her cosplay is adorable on TikTok. Yeah. The writing's going well. I'm sort of doing an overhead debrief and kind of thinking about a lot of plot points. The Bitsy code is literally a real thing called Last Thursday. What? I have to pee here. Can I run to the bathroom? I have to use the bathroom. I also have to refill my water, and I promised a friend that I would make sure that I'm hydrated and fed today. I will be right back, okay? Wah wah. Hi. Hi. I'm gonna get rid of this one. Okay. Hi. Interesting. I also know the 3.5 and above stuff. Both editions of Pathfinder, you say, and you've played some Warhammer Oh yeah, they have like a tabletop role-playing game now, huh? I really wanted to play an old Western campaign. And I was thinking you could probably do it with AD&D, but you'd have to turn a lot of things. You'd have to be okay with a lot of magic, but I don't really want a lot of magic. When I put magic in the game, it's supposed to be important. I wonder if there is an Old West rule set you could use. Okay. Aren't there like D&D swords that are zero magic on Old West? There's there's a setting that was for 3rd edition or something, and it's kind of Trigun-y. But it's not got as much sci-fi elements as Trigun. What I would want to do is I'd want to run something that's similar to Trigun. Yeah, that's usually what I do, Monkey Wraith. Pathfinder has a lot of like assumptions about magic, and it's like, oh, your players should have this many magical items, and I just tend to ignore those rules and to try to buff the players in different ways. A Western campaign sounds like something you would love to play. I think it could be done. You might have to use like 5th edition rules and then put limits on stuff, but I'm sure there's some sort of campaign somewhere out there. Yeah, you could just reflavor stuff too. Okay. What do I have on this? on this contraption? So here is what I have on it. We're gonna mess with my original description of it. The Esper apparatus. And this is from the pages of her journal, so I wrote it with the intention that a player is reading this information. The following pages don't quite make sense and seem to be coded with need of a cipher to understand. The Esper apparatus is a glove and bracer. This is equipped upon one arm, made from an unknown metal you have never seen before. The invention seems to be able to access the nervous system, similar to a grafted automail part. This would suggest that the device reacts via electronic impulses from the nerves of its operator. Several rows of electromagnetic arc coils are arranged with some sort of a capacitor, restoring and discharging electrical currents. The other pieces of unknown machinery are arranged in a variety of rows, resembling esoteric diagrams, and seem to use an alien sort of machinery you've never studied before. I think the Esper apparatus uses the soul rather than magic. I think that is one of the underlying core assumptions of this item. Adios. You feel like you should know of Western-based RPG? Yeah, Lexmas, right? I feel like there should be one. An Avantris Dimwits of the Dimwit campaign. They use 5th edition and the wizardry flavors all the spells as physical things you can do. Fireball's literally a cartoon jug of moonshine. That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. You're enjoying my new form? This is an old form. This form is ancient. I've had this form for many years. Can do all sorts of stuff. It was a gift from one of my best friends. I think I can toggle. Yeah, I can toggle my cook. Ooh, whoa! I prefer when it doesn't have the sclera. I think it looks cuter when it looks like this. Could also be some volatile materials you could throw, and it could cause burns or the like. Oh. Let's see. The Esper apparatus has a main storage compartment that is pressurized in a manner that creates a pure vacuum, isolated from the atmosphere outside of it. I think... radiation. Radiation particles. Stored here? Maybe. I don't know how radiation works. But I don't have to know how radiation works. I just have to make it sound like it makes sense. That's the best part about being a writer. You don't have to be correct. You just have to sound correct. Additionally, there are channels like small arteries that run through the device up to its fingertips and on its exterior. From all your observations, the device seems very painful and intrusive to equip and wield. There are notes on the physical and bodily damage to Adrian's arm and body she had silently carried during her exploration of how to further improve the device. Some symptoms include skin redness, hair loss along her arms, more prone to bleeding and burns. We need actual stats, statistic effects of using weapon. Which I assume I could probably find the equivalent radiation rules. There is a Fallout RPG, so maybe they have a rule set for that. Maybe I'll have to look that up. There are times when I think about adding radiation as a damage type to your campaigns. It would be interesting. The thing is, I don't want to make it so painful that, like, it permanently affects the character. Because I think that would be fun in certain campaigns, like a Call of Cthulhu campaign. But I don't think that it would be fun in this sort of campaign. Fallout 2d20 reduces your max HP temporarily. Oh, okay. Maybe reduced max HP temporary. I think that this should have special one-time abilities. Very powerful. That permanently affect and decrease and harm a character using them. They should be very powerful. Like opening up a permanent, like a permanent tear in reality or something, because that's the type of thing that this device could do, but it would have to, like, it would permanently damage, like, their constitution score or something. Which means that this is an ability that a player knows that it can do, but would probably never attempt. Because most players don't want to permanently damage their characters. So if you want to make, like, a really, really OP item, and it's supposed to be OP for story reasons, but you're terrified of your player having an actual OP item, you just have to make that OP item not worth using. So that's what I'll do. Oh, let's invent poison condition. That's a good idea. It's like a radiation, like, sickness. Got it, got it. That's cool, that's cool. I like that. Those who haven't read the previous chapters of Adrian's journal might assume this invention were a crude creation intended to store and expel electricity. But the capacitor within these design documents is like no electromagnetic device. And I think I made this NPC up because I was like... I'm pretty sure this guy is the equivalent of Benjamin Franklin in the setting. Because I was like, oh no. Oh no. I know that they're aware of electricity and electric machines, but they've never, like, made an electric machine. No one has successfully, like, mass-produced, like, something, like a invention of the sort. But I know that they're aware of it. Why are they aware of it? Someone has to have, like, used the lightning conductor at some point in their life and then published it. So I was like, okay, I will make this guy up. Tariq Ibn Qadir, his wildest imaginations. Here's Benjamin Franklin. Middle Eastern Benjamin Franklin. Surely the device appears meant to channel energy out of nothingness from the little you can understand of the design documents. There's also, I think there's an equivalent of Karl Marx in the setting. He was from a kingdom called the Kingdom of Navir. The Kingdom of Navir. And that kingdom went through a revolution, and this Karl Marx equivalent came out of it. Surely a device appears to channel energy out of nothingness, or perhaps from something entirely invisible. That is important because that is the truth. Even with minimum knowledge on the device, someone could attempt to use these diagrams to recreate the Esper apparatus without fully understanding it. This would require a level 40 DC crafting check, 1 week of preparation, and the gathering of materials worth 15,000 silver pieces, some of which cannot be found on the material plane alone. Okay. So, someone with minimal understanding of the device cannot use it correctly. However, someone who studies the device and has Adrian's journal can make certain conclusions and assumptions. Learning how to use the Esper apparatus takes a DC, I'm gonna say DC 20? DC 20? Maybe 25. Crafting check. Crafting knowledge check. And the character must have her design documents on hand. And what are be skilled in one of the following knowledge. Skills. Or have the advice of someone who has the following. Karl Marx sounds familiar? I sure hope so. What program is this? Oh, I'm just using LibreOffice. I'm using my favorite font right now. Espinosa Nova Pro, which is it was used for medieval typewriter, not medieval, but like type machines. And it is the default font for Pillars of Eternity, which is one of my favorite game series. But LibreOffice is just an open source German Word document program. Yeah. Because radiation sickness, the webpage you found says it stops the ability to consume stuff. Oh. Stops consuming items. Oh. Learning how to use the Esper apparatus takes DC 25 crafting check, and the character must have her design documents, Adrian's design documents on hand, and be skilled in one of the following knowledge skills, or have the advice of someone who has the following. What are some knowledge skills? I guess animancy. Or soul crafting. I would allow maybe I wouldn't allow necromancy. There's probably a wizard schooling that would make sense. As what are the schools of magic in Pathfinder? I don't know if my schools of magic in my setting are the same, but maybe. Abjuration, conjuration, divination, enchantment, evocation, illusion, necromancy, and transmutation. Not abjuration or conjuration. I would probably go with transmutation. Oh no, the map is sorry, the map is just that's my settings map. Yeah. Oh, this is the map for my setting. It's custom made. Yeah. Most of the campaign has taken place in this little crescent area where it's Briary Coast. Everything from that shore to the mountains directly above it. And on that peninsula where it says Palatinate Vostara. Morville and the Palatinate Vostara is where most of the campaign has taken place so far. Oh, thank you. I did the draft and then I had an artist clean up the draft, and then I did all of the line work, like not line work, but the graphics work. Yeah. you though. You like the sound of Stranglewood? The Stranglewood, it's fun. It's fun. It's kind of an eldritch horror. It's the Stranglewood themselves are alive. They are a creature. It's supposed to have a list of conditions on page 447 in the player's core book. Yeah, I'll have to look at that. Right now I'm trying to figure out what other skills you could use for this. I guess, this is... Yeah, okay, I got it. This is gonna be fun. Jungian psychology. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. You're an aspiring world maker, so it's always cool to see other people's creations. Ah, that's awesome! Elements use souls, transmutation, Jungian psychology, or automail. Okay. Once installation. And basic understanding of the Esper apparatus is made. The following becomes clear. I'm gonna need my GM core book, I think, for this part. I might have to go grab my book, because we're making the equivalent of a magic item that is not magical. But we can just list out abilities. There's probably an action, probably an attack that damages someone via... I want to make it damage them via like their soul, but I'm not sure how to word that. The user reaches out to the life force of an individual and clenches the gauntlet. Particles. Attack. Particles attack the target's soul. A brick. A non-magical magical item. There's probably a better way to word this, but we'll worry about that later. There are Pathfinder damage types. 2E. I think there's a damage type that we can actually use for this. There's like 19 damage types or something. I think mind damage would be the right damage type. Let's see. Physical damage, energy damage, spirit damage. Oh, spirit damage, perfect. Directly affects the spiritual essence of a creature. Spirit damage can damage a target projecting its consciousness or possessing another creature. But also I want it to have... I guess we have to decide. Does the gauntlet damage souls or deal physical radiation? Because we could deal spirit damage, which is in Pathfinder. And doesn't affect constructs. And then there's mental damage. Mental damage is psychic force that deals damage to a creature. Precious materials. Well, not their own damage category. Precious materials can modify damage to penetrate a creature's resistances. For instance, silver weapons are effective against were creatures and bypass resistance. Okay. There's also void damage, but that's more like negative energy damage, I think. It wouldn't be mental. Yeah, I don't think it would be mental either. Mental damage is like seeing something your mind can't comprehend and taking damage. Or a sharp, like, psychic jolt to your mind psyche. Which I guess kind of is. Depending on the system and the psychology behind it, could be the equivalent of a soul, but... What gave you shivers? What gave you shivers? Why not both? Could be both. It could be both. Mental damage is when you read Twitter. Yeah. Incredibly based comments. The way you said for some reason? What? What do you mean? Do not read Twitter! I've been trying. I was telling Shadow the other day, I was like, I need to be better at not paying attention to it and to trolls. Alright. Spirit damage sounds like it makes sense. Deals spirit. X certain amount damage die. And spirit damage deals certain damage. Or leaves. Because the thing about radiation is it doesn't harm you immediately. Just like you were saying, it's a condition. Conditional effect. Hi, Diva. Yeah, it does make sense if it's an attack on the soul. So this would be ability 1. It would probably be 1 action. ability 2. It was said to like create stuff from nothingness, so I wonder how we can do that. It's kind of how it works in Fallout. Yeah, I think so. I would give a radiation condition different levels, and the effects get worse as you gain levels in radiation. I think what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to make a radiation condition. So what I will do is I will look up various radiation conditions from other games. Maybe have a description that if it doesn't do a certain amount of damage, the target gets to roll. Oh, a certain amount of damage would deal it. That might work. Receive past a certain damage threshold. Or we can do levels. Or I like the idea of levels of radiation conditions. Because Pathfinder does have leveled conditions. It would be like poisoned 2, poisoned 3, that kind of thing. You're literally homebrewing a radiation condition right now while you're inspired. Please send it to me. If you're in the Discord, we made a tabletop channel in Discord, so I would be very down to see what you come up with. Okay. Ability 2. The Esper apparatus was said to create and destroy without the use of magic. So this is destroying. I think it would be cool if there's an effect on a kill. Like an automatic death of some sort. Like, example, turns to ash. Or something. Something similar. Thank you for the follows. Ability 2 should be able to create, or at least what it looks like is creating. So I'm thinking it should have the ability to pull from the ethereal plane. Butternuts, thank you! It was a gift from my friend. She has a matching one. The user reaches past the particles between planes. And pulls from the ethereal. What would they pull out of the ethereal sea? The ethereal sea is very similar to most of the depictions of the ethereal sea that I have seen in D&D, with the exception of 5th edition, because 5th edition turned it into a dreamscape, and I don't like that. I think that's dumb. I think it should be a ghostscape. I saw this little furball VTuber on YouTube, and she was playing Pathfinder 2nd edition. Hell yeah! Hi! Welcome in. A high enough radiation level, they roll to see if the coming days they die from the radiation exposure destroyed enough their body. See, I think that's realistic, but I don't think it would be fun for a D&D campaign. Unless they crit or something. Perhaps we can do something like that on a crit basis. Horrible things happen. Mm-hmm. The user reaches past the particles between planes and pulls from the ethereal. What would they pull from the ethereal, though? What is in the ethereal sea? Mists, long lost memories of places that were, ghosts, psychics, like scions, what if the radiation reduced max HP with each level of it? Then it could kill a player, knocking them unconscious until they recover. I like that idea. Let's put that. Each level reducing max HP. I think that's one to keep on hand. I like that idea. I've liked the general idea that it affects your temporary hit points. Or it gives you a temporary minus. Mists, long lost memories of places that were, ghosts, psychics, thought eaters, and similar monsters. I don't like the idea of dreams becoming reality in the ethereal sea. I do like the idea of like what is when you're awake? It's like this thing that people believe they can do, and I'm not saying that they can't, but like leaving your body during lucid dreaming. I forget what that's called. Like lucid something. Astral projecting. Yeah. I think astral projecting into the ethereal is possible in this setting, but I don't think that it actually changes what the ethereal is for very long. Thank you, Giri-chama. Remote viewing, yeah, that's what I was thinking of, yeah. User reaches past particles between the planes and pulls from the ethereal. Usually, I guess we could give them a few options. Creating one of the following. Architecture. Architecture. A monster. And then something that isn't either of those things. A cool effect would be neat. Like an ethereal breeze that deals damage. Summoning a certain forgotten structure taking up an amount of space. Summoning one of the following creatures randomly. A, B, C, D. The user's choice of the following. This ability is gonna have to take more than one action. I would say 2 to 3 actions. I'm not sure. I'm not certain on how many. These are 2 of its abilities. think a third ability. Only available after a certain progression milestone. I think that the item should have progression milestones, based off of how well you understand it. This item has progression milestones. Basic understanding. Formidable understanding, etc. Until I don't know, like master understanding or something similar of that. Master, etc. Something similar. I can make up a word later. Ability 3, I think, should have... I think it should do something really cool. Like, the user can reach out and reform spaces, telling an individual closer or farther from a point. Basically just like a psychic like a shove. Sort of similar to shove, but more powerful, I think is what it should be said. And the next one would be like basically a Misty Step, because they do it themselves. I wonder how many abilities we give it is based off of probably weapon and artifact scaling from the book, which I don't know much about because I haven't been GMing Pathfinder for very long. And it would probably also have to do with how many levels of progression milestone I want it to have. But I'm pretty happy with just this general skeleton of what the item is. I wonder if we can make, for some reason, we know the Queen of Ostora and also Kra and Bod want it for their own reasons, but could we perhaps make it so that Ageltress knows what it is and wants it. Ageltress knows what it is, or wants the device, but doesn't know what it is. She has been sensing every time it's used. Because she is in the ethereal plane. She is trapped in the ethereal plane. She's a powerful ghost. As a powerful being trapped in the ethereal, she can sense every time the device dips itself into the ethereal. Like the surface of a pond scattered. I like this. I like this. She doesn't exactly know what it is, but she has sensed it. Anything to get her out of her little ghost prison. All threads are to be chased. What if there's someone that knows 100% how to use it, but is also the last person you want to give it to? That would be Kronbot. He probably knows a lot of how to use it. My question is, why would he know? He hasn't... He did not kill Adrian Demont. Adrian is the only person fully knows how to use it. I wonder if we could have her, maybe she had correspondence with Kronbot. Or a mutual individual that they both knew. Yeah, because she is assumed dead. I've never confirmed whether or not that's true. But she is assumed dead by the players and by the rest of the world. There's a lot to think of here. There's a lot of things to consider, and I have to use the bathroom. So I think I'm gonna run to the bathroom. I'll be right back. I'm back. Okay, so I think we're getting a little too complex here. I think that ability 3 should be one or the other. Or maybe the choice between one or the other. And then big ability. The permanent affecting one. Thank you. Welcome back as well. But I think each time the apparatus is used, make note. The more it is used, the easier it is for Eagletress to track. I think the more it's used, the easier it is for Eagletress to track it down. And the more it's used, the worse its effects on the user become. I think that will tie Eagletress a little bit better to the plot than she already was. I'm very satisfied, I think. With that, I think I might let this sit and cook for a few days. I might let it cook for a few days. Yeah. Good job. Good job, us. Ability 1, ability 2, ability 3, big ability. I don't know what that is yet. Let's put IDK yet. IDK yet. We wrote quite a little bit about what it is and what it does. Who wants it and why they want it. Can get rid of this little note here. Currently the players are jumping. What's the word? Not jumping. Ambushing a carriage that is supposedly carrying it. And the next session I run, which I thought was going to be today, we'll be running the ambush of the carriage. And it's either going to go really well and they're going to stop the carriage, or like knock it into a ravine or something, or it's going to go really bad and there's going to be a carriage chase. So what I had prepped beforehand was this sort of description of their carriage. I don't really need it immediately right now, so I might just edit that in my spare time. Hitting or sacking is another term too. Yeah, like a heist. They're doing a little heist. But we'll probably end up more of a sack because they'll probably kill everyone involved. And then this item should be in their hands. And what they do with the item is kind of up to them. Whether or not they hold on to it or hand it over to Kron Bod or something else. I have a feeling they might hold on to it for a while. I just want them. I want to make using it tempting for them. Just not sure if it will be tempting on its own or what. We don't want them to know about the permanent effects of it at first, which is why we will have basic understanding. A basic understanding doesn't reveal the scary effects, but mostly the simple the basics of how it works. I want to make a really cool because I took some assets from online to make this. I want to make a cool version of this for the gauntlet too. You're gonna sleep while you can. Good night, Foxy. I think I'll probably just yap for a little bit more before we end the stream. Thank you for coming by today. And thank you to all of the readers that ended up staying from Mocha-chan. They embraced the radiant or radiating neon glow. But what I want to do, oh, that zoomed me out. To do, make cool card document. I'm not sure what you would call this. Handout? Make cool handout for it. Esper apparatus. Would identify magic reveal anything? No, because it's not magical. It's not magical at all. It's all scientific. Ah, thank you, Mochacha. Thank you. I would like for my setting to be somewhat a mixture between like a few fictional fantasy books like The Black Company or Offward and the Grey Mouser, and then a few more like less fantastical stuff. Like it's funny calling it less fantastical, but like Full Metal Alchemist. There's another one I had in my mind, but I don't recall what it was. Some of the fantastic elements in Full Metal Alchemist I would not include, but but yeah, I think we'll probably stop writing for today. Put this down for now. It's nice to like write and then once you're done writing, like any sort of drawing or creation, just set it aside for a little bit so that you can come back to it and look at it with fresh eyes. Let's go over here. Ah! It's still in the way. There we go. And I'll put on some of our background music. If I can find it. There. I'm gonna need more coffee. Kumo TV! Yeah! Perfect stream to listen to while prepping Pathfinder. I also love to listen. I don't do it as often, but I like to listen to other game masters while, or right before, or during while I'm prepping. I remember I used to watch Matthew Colville a whole bunch, and then recently I was trying to listen to the Critical Role podcast again, but there's just so many advertisements, and I think their intro song is so cheesy. It makes me cringe. It's a good cheesy, but it's still a cringe cheesy. Some of their game gets a little too roleplay for me. But I think it's a really good way to like refresh your inspiration and stuff. Same goes for like watching someone draw. If you feel like you're in a hole drawing, it's nice to watch someone that you really like draw. But yeah, I think that'll be it for today. 9 out of 10 spiders, thank you! Thank you! It was nice to listen as you just chore. Oh yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've been doing chores while I listen to podcasts and the such. I'm really excited for that new campaign that they were doing with the guy from... They're using like a new dungeon master for the next campaign. See, the 4th campaign? I forget what his name is, but he's the dude that he jumps his own game. I'm not sure if there's anyone that's very, very into like all of the D&D podcasts and stuff out there that listens to our streams, but it seemed cool. It seemed cool. It'll be interesting to watch. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. I will! Since I'm not running the game tonight, I will just be relaxing and playing as a character in our Cyberpunk game, which I really, really love. So you'll probably hear all about what happened in the Cyberpunk game. I'll try to post in the Discord a little bit too. I always do doodles in my notes. When I'm writing notes, I tend to doodle, but a lot of stuff happened last game, so I didn't have as many drawings in my notes. Yeah. But I will be doing that this evening. And then tomorrow, I think, if I recall correctly, we have a sponsored stream that's happening. I think I'm gonna be able to stream it on Twitch. I will double check, but I think it will be safe. We are going to be playing, let's see here. Yeah, we're playing a new Just title called Yomegami. Yomegami. And it's basically a cute dating sim with lots of moe and fun, lighthearted stuff going on. Ichi might join us. She might join us. I'm not sure. And then on Saturday, we have a really, really cool sponsored stream going on. Isekai Slow Life is sponsoring us, and we're gonna be doing an ASMR stream while we play their game. We'll probably start with like 30 minutes of ASMR, and then I'll open up the game. Yeah. I'm grounded with Lily Hopkins on Sunday. It's gonna be fun. It's been nice to have kind of slow, comfy streams for the last 2 days, because I know that I will be very... I will have my hands full playing with my friends this week. Lots of socializing. Thank you. I'm excited for it. I'm trying to get more sponsored streams, but I don't want to really get sponsored streams from stuff that I don't think looks interesting. You know? Like, there was a Star Trek sponsorship that I kind of looked the other way for, because I don't know anything about Star Trek. And I thought that wouldn't make it for a good or entertaining stream, so I'm trying to only accept ones that I think would be fun to hang out with you and play. I'm really excited about Grounded. I told Lily I want to try to beat it in one sitting. I want to try to finish the game. And she said that's very possible, but very difficult. So we'll see. Yeah, I think that's the best way to do sponsorships. I can only act like I like a game for so much money. And I'm not being offered so much money. Yeah, we'll beat it. If we don't beat it that night, we'll probably beat it the next night. I really want to play Grounded too. Ooh. But until then, I'll be seeing you. Okay? Make sure I eat lots of food today. I did not eat a lot of food yesterday, and I feel a little guilty. And I was a little... my head was a little funny. I was like, does the world hate me or am I just hungry? And it turned out I was just hungry. So, make sure to eat and hydrate. Okay, big bro? Until tomorrow.